Your mind won't stop. You're lying in bed, the room is quiet, everything is fine, and yet your brain is running 1,000 different scenarios at once. You're replaying a conversation from 3 days ago. You're imagining what could go wrong tomorrow. You are planning for emergencies that haven't happened and probably never will. And the worst part? You know you're overthinking. You tell yourself to stop. You tell yourself to take a deep breath. You try your best to distract yourself. And 2 minutes later, you're right back in it. And I want to warn you right now, the answer might genuinely surprise you because overthinking is not what most people think it is. And the reason you can't just stop doing it has everything to do with what is actually happening beneath the surface. I'm Jeffrey, I'm a licensed mental health counselor, and this is something I work on with people every single day. By the end of this video, you're going to understand overthinking in a completely different way, and more importantly, you're going to have a real practical path out of it. Let's get into it. So when people start talking about overthinking, one of the first things they say is, I just need to stop. I just need to get out of my head. I need to shut my brain off. And I completely understand that. When you've been living inside an overreactive mind for long enough, the desire to make it quiet is so overwhelming. But here's the thing. If it was as simple as deciding to stop, you would have already done that. As a matter of fact, everyone who struggles with overthinking would have just stopped. There would be no overthinking. It would cease to exist as a problem. The fact that it persists, the fact that it comes back no matter how many times you try to push it away, that tells us something really important. Overthinking is not a bad habit, and it's also not a flaw in your personality, and it's definitely not a sign that something is broken in you. Overthinking is a coping mechanism. Now, I know that might sound strange. When we think about coping mechanisms, we usually think about things like deep breathing, or going for a walk, or journaling, things that are intentional, healthy, and helpful. So, calling overthinking a coping mechanism might feel like a little bit of a stretch, but hear me out. A coping mechanism, at its core, is just something your mind or body does in response to stress or discomfort. It's a strategy, conscious or unconscious, to make you feel better, safer, or more in control. And that is exactly what overthinking is doing. Your brain overthinks because it is genuinely trying to reduce your anxiety. Let me say that again because it's important. Your brain is not torturing you. It is trying to protect you. It just happens to be really bad at it. Let me give you an example that I think a lot of people can relate to. Let's say that you're at work and you get an email from your boss that says, hey, can you come by my office tomorrow at 11 a.m.? That is it. There's no further context and no further details. Now, for most people who struggle with overthinking, that single sentence is enough to light the whole machine up. Suddenly, your brain is off to the races. What did I do wrong? Was it that report that I submitted last week? Did someone complain about me? What if this is about layoffs? What if they're going to fire me? Okay, if I get fired, how long can I afford my rent? Maybe I should start updating my resume tonight, just in case. What companies could I apply to? Would I even be able to find something quickly? And you spend the next 12 hours running through all of these different scenarios. So you end up losing sleep, you end up losing focus, and you feel this low-grade dread sitting in the pit of your stomach. Then, 11 a.m. comes. You walk into the office, your boss smiles and say, hey, I just wanted to ask you a quick question about that project that you've been working on. And that is it. That is the whole meeting. And then you think to yourself, what was that? Why did I put myself through all of that for nothing? But here's what your brain was actually doing during the waiting period. It was playing chess. Not one chess game, 1,000 chess games simultaneously. It was scanning for every possible outcome, planning for every contingency, trying to prepare you for every scenario so that nothing could catch you off guard. The idea being, if I can anticipate everything that might go wrong, then nothing will hurt me. I'm going to be ready, and every now and then, this actually works. Every now and then, the thing your brain worried about actually happens, and some part of you goes, see? Better safe than sorry. Good thing I was prepared. And that small occasional validation is enough to keep the whole pattern going. The brain learns overthinking equals safety, and it doubles down. But the cost The cost of running 1,000 chess games at once, all the time, every day, is absolutely exhausting. It puts you in a state of constant hypervigilance, and that means even when life is good, even when there's nothing wrong, you can't fully relax into it. Your mind is always scanning, always searching for the next threat. That is why you can be watching your favorite show, or sitting with people you love, or doing something you genuinely enjoy, still feel like something is slightly off. This is because your brain hasn't gotten the memo that it's okay to stand down. Okay, so we have established that overthinking is your brain's attempt to reduce anxiety, but that actually just pushes the question back one level. If overthinking is trying to reduce anxiety, what is the anxiety trying to do? And this is where it gets really interesting. Anxiety, at its core, is also a protective mechanism. It exists to guard you against something even more painful. Things like embarrassment, disappointment, rejection, sadness, grief, failure. So what we actually have is this layered system. There's a painful emotion at the bottom, let's say the fear of rejection, and sitting with that fear feels intolerable. So anxiety shows up as kind of a buffer, and then overthinking shows up to try to manage and reduce that anxiety. It's layer upon layer, each one trying to protect you from the one beneath it. And what that means is this: if you try to stop overthinking by just addressing the overthinking, by telling yourself to snap out of it, by using distractions, by white-knuckling your way through it, you're only dealing with the surface. You're trimming the top of the weed and leaving the roots completely intact. It's going to grow back, and it always grows back. The only way to genuinely reduce overthinking long-term is to go to the root. And the root is this: an inability to accept the more painful emotions that live underneath. Nobody wants to feel rejected or disappointed or embarrassed. These are genuinely painful emotional experiences. The avoidance of them makes complete sense. But the cost of that avoidance is chronic anxiety and chronic overthinking, a mind that never gets to rest because it's always on guard against the next possible moment of pain. So the path out, the real path, not a shortcut, but the real path, is learning to tolerate those deeper emotions. Learning to be okay with the possibility of disappointment. Learning to sit with uncertainty without immediately needing to resolve it. And I want to be really honest with you. This is not easy work at all. It takes time and it takes practice, but it is absolutely possible. So you're probably wondering, how do you actually do this? How do you start building the capacity to tolerate the emotions that you have spent years trying to avoid? It starts with something called validation and permission. And when I explain it, some people think it sounds too simple to actually work. But I promise you, when you do it consistently, it is genuinely one of the most powerful things you can do. Validation means telling yourself that your feeling is okay. Not that it's fun, not that you enjoy it, not that you want to feel this way all the time, just that it's okay that you feel this way, that it's a human response, that you're allowed to have it and experience it. So instead of fighting the anxiety, instead of telling yourself to stop being anxious, there's nothing to worry about, just relax, you would say to yourself, it's okay that I feel anxious right now. It's okay that I'm worried about this. It makes sense that this feels scary to me. And you extend that permission to the physical experience of the emotion too, because emotions don't just live in your mind, they also live in your body. You might feel anxiety as a sinking sensation in your stomach, or a tightness in your chest, or like there's a weight pressing down on your shoulders, or your heart is beating just a little faster than normal. Instead of trying to make those sensations go away, you acknowledge them. It's okay that my stomach feels like this. It's okay that my chest is tight. I am not in danger. It's okay that I'm feeling this way. You might also try phrasing it as a question, which some people find it easier to integrate. Is it okay for me to feel nervous right now? And then you answer to yourself, yes, it is. What you're doing is training your nervous system to stop treating these emotions as emergencies. You're teaching your brain gradually over time that you can feel these things and survive them. And the more your brain learns that, the less it needs to go into overdrive to try to prevent them. There's one more piece I want to talk about because it is at the heart of so much overthinking, and that is uncertainty. If you think about it, almost all overthinking are attempts to eliminate uncertainty. You don't know what your boss wants, so you spin 100 different scenarios to try to feel more prepared. You don't know how a conversation is going to go, so you rehearse it 20, 30 times in your head. You don't know how something is going to turn out, so you try to think your way to guarantee the outcome. But here's the truth most of us know intellectually, but struggle to actually live by. You cannot think your way to certainty. Certainty in most areas of life is simply not available, and the harder you try to grab it, the more anxious you become, because you're chasing something that doesn't exist. So instead of trying to eliminate uncertainty, the practice is to lean into it, to get comfortable with not knowing, and the way you do that is the same way, through validation and permission. I don't know how this is going to turn out, and it's okay that I don't know. And say it out loud if you have to, write it down, say it in the mirror. It's okay for me to not have the answer right now. It's okay for me to sit with this uncertainty. It's okay for my stomach to be sinking while I do. This way, you're not pretending the uncertainty doesn't exist, and you're not telling yourself that everything is going to be fine, kind of giving yourself that false reassurance. You're just practicing being okay with the discomfort of not knowing. And every time you do that, you're building a little more capacity and a little more tolerance. So let me bring this all the way back around because I want to make sure that this lands clearly. Overthinking is not a flaw. It is also not something to be ashamed of. It is your brain doing its best to protect you, using a strategy that made a certain kind of sense at some point, but that has a serious point of diminishing returns. And you can't stop it by fighting it, because fighting it just creates more anxiety. You stop it by going to the root. The root is an intolerance of painful emotions, and the path through that is practicing validation. Giving yourself genuine permission to feel what you feel in your mind and in your body, letting the uncertainty be there without rushing to resolve it, not because it's comfortable, but because discomfort is survivable. And every time you choose to sit with it instead of avoiding it, you are rewiring your anxious brain.